focus on the same stuff that they tell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the poor and where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds, the deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify with you and God in time, my best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, your host and White House correspondent, enjoying a little sunshine. Enjoying a little bit of sunshine right here in LA, where it is nice and warm. The heat wave is real. And so are we, joining you live in afternoon drive time. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Be sure to follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa, because we're fancy like that, to play KBLA Talk 1580, and there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast, powered by KBLA, the only Black-owned and operated talk station in Mississippi, and you'll never miss an episode. Listen, we are about action, not just talk. I know we're a talk station, but we're about more than just talk. We're about action, and that's why everybody that is listening in the DMV area, go ahead and lean in close, because we want to make sure that you know what the students are up to. DC college students are planning a walkout on September 9th to demand no cooperation with DC's occupation. The students at Georgetown are walking out at 10 a.m. The students at Howard University are walking out at 11 a.m. Folks over at George Washington University, we didn't forget about you, walking out at 1 p.m. and American University at 2 p.m. You can visit the Sunrise Movement on Instagram to get all the information you need. But the students just got back to school, and they're already fed up. And they are registering their sentiment with a peaceful walkout on September 9th. And so, again, go to @Sunrise Movement on Instagram for more information. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off, the New York Times is reporting that the Justice Department accuses California utility of negligence in the deadly Eaton fire. This one hits very close to home. Federal prosecutors today blamed Southern California Edison, one of the state's major utilities, for causing two wildfires, including the deadly January blaze that all but wiped out the community of Altadena near Los Angeles. The Justice Department accused the utility of failing to properly maintain power lines that sparked the Eaton fire in the Angeles National Forest. The fire burned thousands of homes and killed 19 people during what we all remember as a very devastating week in which another fire killed 12 in the Pacific Palisades. And so for all of the folks who've been impacted by the fires. This news adds another plot twist as folks are desperately looking to recover. In other news, the Los Angeles Times is reporting that Trump's military deployment in LA cost $120 million. That's what Governor Gavin Newsom is saying. He said that today the President Trump's decision to deploy the National Guard troops to LA amounted to costly political theater, saddling taxpayers with, again, nearly $120 million to make that theater pop. Listen, I could come up with 120 reasons why and how we could have spent that money differently. You can drive down Skid Row. You can drive to pockets of LA City, LA County, and you can see a number of reasons why we could have used that money differently. Why we didn't seems obvious to me. Governor Newsom's office said that the newly revealed price tag was tallied from estimates provided by the California National Guard about costs incurred since June, when Trump sent more than 4,200 National Guard members and 700 Marines to LA. That included $71 million for food and other basic necessities, $37 million for payroll, $4 million in logistics supplies, $3.5 million for travel, and $1.5 million in demobilization costs. Most of the soldiers were sent home in August, although 300 remain in Los Angeles. And look, Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stanton, she is not happy with President Trump. She has fired back. She's called him a wannabe dictator. And she's saying that Trump's Chicago takeover threat, she ain't having it. She said, we don't want your circus here. The Grio is reporting that as President Trump continues to threaten military deployment to Chicago, Illinois Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton says that Trump's MAGA plot is not welcomed in the Windy City. He was talking all that talk at the top of the week. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen no National Guard hit the ground in Illinois. We're all going to continue to keep our eye on that. But when we come forward, we're switching gears. I'm looking forward to welcoming two of the Democratic Party's rising stars in New York and Pennsylvania. We'll be joined with Dylan Hewitt. He is running for the congressional seat that's currently held by Representative Elise Stefanik. Yeah, as an Elise Stefanik, who is buddy-buddy with President Trump, the Elise Stefanik that was nominated to be the next UN representative and then withdrew. The Elise Stefanik that is part of the reason why folks like Dr. Claudine Gay over at Harvard University is no longer president of Harvard University. We're going to talk to the gent that is suiting up to defeat her in the 2026 midterm elections. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward with Dylan Hewitt.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Let's go.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect, protect, and preserve the stories of Black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandlost.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Hit me! National News The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and really delighted to welcome Dylan Hewitt. He is running for Congress. He's running for Congress in a district that's all too familiar. It's a district where he was born and raised. And it is a district that really represents the tip of the spear in the conservative movement. You know why? It's because Representative Elise Stefanik, she currently represents that district. And she is like this. For folks who are streaming, you can see I got my fingers twisted up. She's like frickin' frat with President Trump. And Dylan has suited up to run a winning race to defeat her in the midterm elections. Dylan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Dr. Quartelai, it's great to see you. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here. It's great to talk to a leader on the front line that is summoning the courage to go after one of the most popular members of Congress in the conservative movement. Before we talk about your race with Representative Stefanik, I wanted to share just a little bit of breaking news. ABC News reporting that President Biden recently had a skin cancer procedure. The former president had Mohs surgery, as they say it. Mohs surgery, it's a common procedure used to treat skin cancer. According to the Mayo Clinic, the surgery involved cutting away a thin layer of skin. Each thin layer is looked at closely for signs of cancer. The process keeps going until there are no signs of cancer. I know that you worked in the Biden-Harris White House. So any reaction to this?
You know, I'm a former White House trade official. And so I send my best to the president and wish him a speedy recovery. And, you know, he and his family are in my prayers as he faces this diagnosis. And I'm glad to hear that he's doing okay. And I only hope that he continues to do well.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. So Dylan, switching gears, tell us, you know, who are you and why have you summoned the courage to run to defeat Elise Stefanik?
Yeah. Well, I am Dylan Hewitt. I'm a 7th generation upstate New Yorker, born and raised in New York 21. I am a former White House trade official that has stood up to corporate monopolies, have strengthened our national security against China, and have protected American workers. And I'm in this race because of one simple thing. I believe that every family deserves to live a life of dignity and have the freedom to thrive. That you should have a job that pays enough to support your family. You should have healthcare that you should always be able to count on, and that every single child should have a fair shot at success. I grew up in the pews of St. Michael's in a small town called South Glens Falls in Saratoga County in New York 21. And I was taught every Sunday that the book of Isaiah calls us to be the repairer of the breach. And so you talk a lot about courage already, Dr. Corte, and that is what I was taught my entire life, that when you see pain and when you see hurt in your communities, you summon the courage because you're called to be the repairer of the breach. And right now, we have a representative that has turned her back on us. She hasn't held a town hall in 6 years. She's proud, in her own words, to be the deciding vote to hand tax cuts to billionaires that are gutting Medicaid and have resulted in 5 of our hospitals being at risk of closure. What our doctors here say will become a 114-mile stretch of no care, and our kids going hungry because of SNAP benefit cuts. And I'm ready to suit up. I'm ready to take on the chaos and the corruption because it is costing us. And folks here deserve better than what Elise Stefanik has said she's been serving us for the last 10 years.
Now, if I remember correctly, Dylan, you are the son of a school teacher and a school principal?
Of a public elementary school principal and a social worker, yes.
Yeah. And so talk to us about how your upbringing is shaping the kind of campaign that you're running and the kind of issues that you intend to be attentive to the people of the 21st district.
Yeah. My dad was an elementary school principal and my mom was a social worker. And growing up, they taught me one really important thing is that you just show up for your folks. And that in upstate New York comes in all sorts of different ways. It comes with spaghetti dinners or clothing drives or the Christmas tree at the local church where you get a tag to gift another child or a family a present during the holidays. But for me, there's one really important thing that it came to for showing up for my community growing up. And that's an event that has happened 50 years in New York 21. It's called the South High Marathon Dance. And every year, my hometown gathers to raise hundreds of thousands of dollars so that our neighbors, our loved ones can afford healthcare. And when I was 17, I led this event. And I'll never forget calling up my 3rd grade teacher and her family and telling her that we would cover the cost of a surgery for her 9-month-old granddaughter. And that is what this campaign is about, that you should have healthcare that you can depend on every single day, that you shouldn't have to check your bank account before you walk into the doctor's office, that your child, whether they're 9 months old or 9 years old or 19 years old, should have a fair shot at success with fully funded public schools and universal childcare and vocational trainings and a pathway to a career or higher education that matters. And right now we have a representative who is more concerned about billionaires and her wealthy donors, more concerned about selling us out so that they get ahead and we're left behind. And folks here are facing high costs with tariffs at the Canadian border. Small businesses are struggling to stay afloat, and our families are facing higher healthcare costs and higher electricity bills, and we just need to do better.
And speaking of higher cost, certainly folks are feeling it at colleges and universities across the country. The future of federal student aid continues to hang in the balance. And to make matters worse, Breitbart News is reporting that your opponent, Elise Stefanik, is introducing a bill that targets quote unquote woke accreditation elites and would codify a Trump executive order. For folks who are less familiar, Elise Stefanik, who is in leadership in the House Republican caucus, has introduced legislation to prohibit accreditors from compelling institutions to adopt race or sex-based quotas, instead requiring them to consider schools' commitments to academic freedom and free speech foremost. This bill was introduced just yesterday and dubbed the Fairness in Higher Education Accreditation Act. It's a companion bill of Senator Jim Banks, Republican from Indiana. What say you about the introduction of this bill and what it could mean for higher education?
Well, I would say that if Elise Stefanik did her job and held a town hall rather than waiting 6 years to hold one, She'd know that this isn't on the top of minds for folks in New York 21. She'd know that folks here are dealing with the high cost of living, with tariffs at the Canadian border, with our healthcare costs rising, with our hospitals closing, and with our kids facing more hunger with SNAP cuts on the rise. I think that if Elise Stefanik was concerned about fairness in education, then we would be expanding Pell Grants. We would be investing in vocational training and a real pathway to a career for our children here in the North Country. Folks who are able to exit public schools that are fully funded and go to higher education that provides them with the skill set to start a business or to jump into clean energy manufacturing and the jobs of the future. But she's more concerned about chasing headlines. She's more concerned about protecting billionaires and her wealthy donors. And I'm here to say that we deserve a fair shot at success, that I'm in this fight because every single child here deserves to have someone to go to Washington and hold the powerful accountable. My grandfather grew up in the Great Depression here, very poor in a town called Hudson Falls. And he only got by because his neighbors down the street fed him through their back window. And that's actually how he met my grandmother, because she was their daughter. And he went off to World War II, and he came back to a country that kept its promise, that he got a good education on the GI Bill. And so when Elise talks about fairness in higher education, I always think about him. What is the fairness of taking care of our own? That we need to make sure that folks get a real path to higher education, to a good job in the middle class, and have a strong middle class life. What she's doing right now is reckless, and it is not providing a more affordable, stronger, or safer North Country for her constituents. And for the rest of the country, it's only putting us behind. And I think that this bill is wrong.
What are you hearing on the ground in the 21st District in New York? There are a number of folks coming off of the 2024 election that say that, Democrats need to focus more on issues that impact ordinary people. They need to, stop, talking like readers of the New York Times and more like, I guess folks who don't read the New York Times, we'll put it that way. What are you hearing on the ground from the people? And what is it about Elise Stefanik that has allowed her to hold that seat as long as she has, given her extreme positions that are clearly out of step with the people of the 21st District?
Well, I'll tell you this, this district voted for Barack Obama twice. And I understand that folks across this country and folks in this district feel left out and left behind and not listened to. A lot of people have asked me, what's the future of the Democratic Party? And I've sat in different rooms with folks who have asked me this. And I said, the future of the Democratic Party is the people who are here, but it's also the people who aren't here. It's the people who didn't show up today because they felt like it wasn't worth showing up, that they've been overlooked and they've been forgotten and they haven't been listened to for far too long. And that's what it comes down to in this race. Who are we protecting and who are we serving? Elise Stefanik protects billionaires and her wealthy donors. The chaos and the corruption from Elise Stefanik over the last 10 years has risen the cost of living for families here. It has resulted in 5 hospitals almost closing, a 114-mile stretch of no health care, and our kids going hungry. I want to go to Washington to hold the powerful accountable, to actually deliver for voters and make sure that working families here get ahead. And so this is what this campaign's about, to make sure that folks across this district understand the harm that Elise Stefanik has imposed on us because she turned her back on us.
And speaking of turning her back on folks, there are a lot of folks that believe that though the Republicans ran on immigration, there are a lot of people who voted for Republicans that were not expecting the kind of mass deportation campaign that we are currently seeing. Folks were not expecting to see ICE agents masked in unmarked cars, disappearing people on the streets of the United States, skirting around any due process. This is currently happening all across our country. The Guardian has reported that the White House has aggressively been pushing to hire federal immigration agents and causing friction with local sheriffs, even those who back Donald Trump's deportation agenda. What are you hearing from the law enforcement community in the 21st District?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I'll say is that I'm the only Democrat in this race who will tell you who he voted for. And I voted for Kamala Harris because I didn't believe and don't believe in hiring more ICE agents. And I'm the only person in this race who believes that. You know, I don't believe that we should be hiring more ICE agents and giving them signing bonuses to be undertrained and raiding our streets, separating our families. That doesn't make safer, stronger communities. We need to be investing in our children, investing in our schools, giving them the opportunity to get ahead and really providing for our families to be safe and strong. But I know that, you know, as you said, that our local sheriffs, our local law enforcement are feeling the burden of this, of feeling what is happening as ICE agents come into our communities across the North Country, particularly at the Canadian border that we are up against here, and understanding that they're being asked to do something that isn't their job, that they are being pulled out to provide services that are burdensome and that they're not being paid for. And so I've heard from all sorts of folks, from Custom Border Patrol agents and folks in our communities who are very concerned about how this administration is handling immigration for our family farms, for our small businesses, and for our families. And Elise Stefanik needs to answer for that.
When we come forward, we're going to dig into this a little bit deeper, and we'll be joined with Malcolm Kenyatta, the Honorable Malcolm Kenyatta, representing the people of the 181st District in North Philadelphia. He also serves as the vice chair of the Democratic Party. We are going beyond the headlines with two rising stars in the Democratic Party. More with Dylan Hewitt, candidate for Congress representing the people of New York's 21st District. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
The audience is listening, thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Singer Montel Jordan revealed on NBC's Today Show that his prostate cancer has returned, now at stage 2 after surgery last year.
Fully confident. I know God is healer. I also know that I have the greatest of care professionals and people that are alongside of me.
Diagnosed in 2024, the singer says he remains optimistic thanks to early detection. Washington, D.C. police officers will get a 13% raise next month under a new agreement. Black Mayor Muriel Bowser also announced plans to boost the force to 4,000 officers. The department currently has about 3,200. And Black Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown and 19 other states are challenging a federal policy that denies bond hearings for undocumented immigrants. They argue indefinite detention without hearings violates due process, harms families and economies, and unfairly impacts longtime residents with no criminal history. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Downtown LA heads up on the 110 northbound just past 3rd Street. That's where we had reports of some of the landscape catching on fire off to the shoulder there. Fire crews are on the scene from the freeway. They may have that right lane off limits. So let's look at the drive. It is pretty tough anyway. Overall delays leaving the 105 freeway. Looking better by the time you make your way to the 5 in Elysian Park. Southbound slowing for the 110. Loading up out of Elysian Park from Stadium Way as you continue in stretches all the way to Rosecrans Avenue. Tough on the 405 southbound, leaving West LA. Sunset Boulevard in stretches to Palo Verde.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Is this the takeover? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
If the NBA proves that Clippers owner Steve Ballmer violated salary cap rules with the extra $28 million for Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers could face significant punishment. The NBA could take draft picks away from the Clippers or fine the organization as much as $7 million. The league also could hand down a suspension to Ballmer or Clippers general manager Lawrence Frank. The LA Sparks have 4 games left in the WNBA regular season to make the playoffs, something they have not done in 4 years. The Sparks are a game and a half behind the Indiana Fever for the 8th and final playoff spot. Next game for the Sparks is Friday night in Atlanta against the Atlanta Dream. The Dodgers need a win tonight in Pittsburgh to avoid getting swept in the 3-game series. In the Dodgers' 3-0 loss Wednesday night, they were 0 for 4 at the plate with the bases loaded. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Pick up the drums.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Become a U.S. citizen with the help of the Los Angeles Public Library. Get free and confidential information on immigration and citizenship. Visit lapl.org/NAI to find your nearest library or call us at 213-228-7390. That's lapl.org/NAI or 213-228-7390 and start your path to becoming a U.S. citizen with the help of the Los Angeles Public Library. Call 213-228-7390 or visit lapl.org/NAI.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, joined with 2 rising stars in the Democratic Party. Dylan Hewitt, he's a candidate for Congress running to represent New York's 21st district. Why should you note that? Well, it's a seat that's currently held by Representative Elise Stefanik. She's one of the leaders of the conservative movement, and Dylan is suiting up to run for Congress to defeat her in the midterm elections. We're also joined by phone with the Honorable Malcolm Kenyatta, who serves as the DNC vice chair. He also represents the people of North Philly's 181st district. Representative Kenyatta, are you with us?
With you. I'm happy to be.
Well, so happy to have you here. Before the break, Dylan and I were talking about how you have U.S. sheriffs that are decrying the White House's effort to hire away local law enforcement for ICE. I don't know what's happening in your neck of the woods in Philadelphia, but there are more than a dozen U.S. sheriffs and law enforcement associations that have complained that ICE has tried to poach local deputies and officers as ICE rapidly expands. What's your reaction?
You know, my reaction is one that Donald Trump has never found a solution that he did not avoid. We have needed for a long time a real solution to a broken immigration system that everyone has agreed is broken. A system that puts people in a position where it's almost impossible to be a contributing member of the society and to get through the court system. It's almost impossible to actually process people who are coming to the border for asylum because instead of hiring more judges, Trump has fired the judges. And so we have somebody who has rapidly made the problem worse, who intentionally treats people with a lack of humanity, intentionally demonizes immigrant communities, intentionally uses the specter of folks who come with a baby going through terrain that no parent would take a child if not for fleeing something that they consider worse, and making America no longer the shining city on the hill, but making America a place that walks away from basic humanity and also walks away from a common sense approach to make sure we have a secure, safe, streamlined asylum process, that people who are in this country have a pathway to legal citizenship, and an approach that uses things like technology and biometrics to actually have the type of safety and security that people want. But Donald Trump has spent every single day making this problem worse every chance he can, and then also treating people with disdain every chance that he can. And then the last thing I'll say, Nii-Quartelai, is what he's doing as it relates to local sheriffs and directly poaching their staff is also endemic of what he's been doing with our National Guard, trying to put himself in a position where he has a personal police force that he gets to direct around the country, at his whim. It is disgusting, it's troubling, and it's really frustrating because this is an issue we can solve and should solve.
Representative Kenyatta, you just took a very long walk. Shout out to Jilly from Philly, pun intended. You just took a very long walk from North Philadelphia, your district, all the way to Harrisburg. You walked from North Philly to Harrisburg over the Labor Day weekend. I could think of a million other things you could have been doing over Labor Day weekend, but that's what you decided to do, to bring attention to the disinvestment in basic services to the people of Pennsylvania. We're talking about SEPTA. Republicans in Pennsylvania are holding funding for transportation hostage. We know that kids are going back to school this week, and this has complicated their transit to and from school. It's complicated the transit of everyday working people. Talk to us about what you heard from people along the way from Philly to Harrisburg in trying to draw attention to the abdication of the duty of the people elected to provide these basic services to the people of Pennsylvania.
Yes, thank you for that. And yeah, as you said, I've just been on a little bit of a walk, and for me, this entire walk was about doing one thing, frankly, about reminding the people that we are more powerful than the quote unquote people in power. That in this moment, the panacea to a government that is deeply and intentionally broken, and I know I gave a long answer about immigration, but it's just an issue that is intentionally broken. A mass transit crisis that has loomed for years, and one that is being intentionally exacerbated by Republicans in this moment. We saw the Texas Democrats who left their state to stand up for their neighbors and their constituents. In Pennsylvania, we have Republicans who have left our state capital of Harrisburg for weeks for weeks, refusing to come to work, while our largest transit agency had made clear that without additional state resources, they would have to cut services by 45% and raise fares by 20%. And while this crisis was clear, it was telegraphed, and it was apparent to anybody who had paid attention to mass transit funding for the last decade that this was coming, they went on vacation. And on the first day of school last Monday, when SEPTA did the initial round of cuts, which has led to a 56% absentee rate from our kids in just the first week of school, according to reporting from the Philadelphia Inquirer, 54% in just 1 week because of these cuts. Republicans were clay shooting with their biggest donors, in golfing with their biggest donors, as one of the largest transportation systems in America is effectively being gutted. And then they went and utilized a lawsuit to try to force SEPTA to reverse the cuts, even though SEPTA doesn't have the money to do so. And so they refused to come to work. And now they're trying to use the court system to do their job. And so I think in this moment, we have to look back at the people who have pulled this country closer to freedom, justice, and fairness. What did they do? They sat at counters they were not allowed to sit at. They marched in marches and made their voices heard. They ran for office. They decided that they were going to make this government work for working people and working families. And in this moment where authoritarian is on the rise, where an oligarchy and you have 12 or 14 billionaires who basically run this administration, we're not asking nicely for a government that works for working people. We are not just going to pray for a government that works for working people. We have to pray with our feet. We have to pray with the work that we do. We have to pray with our commitment to step up and run for office and support people that do, folks who run for school board, as well as the folks who are going to run for, for president, or folks who are going to run for Congress. It's going to be that type of mass mobilization and that type of engagement that's going to get us out of this moment. It is the only thing that is going to get us out of this moment.
I mean, that's certainly one of the things my grandmother used to say often. She used to tell me to pray with my hands and my feet, and I pass it along every chance I get. Speaking of someone who is also been very busy on his feet, Dylan Hewitt, who is running for Congress in the 21st District in New York, running to defeat Elise Stefanik, someone who's at the tip of the spear in the conservative movement. Dylan, I got to ask you, how is the so-called big, beautiful bill, some people call the big bad nightmare, the big bad wolf, take your pick. How is that playing on the ground in the 21st District? Is there buyer's remorse?
Listen, I think folks understand that Elise Stefanik is protecting billionaires and her wealthy donors. She, in her own words, says that she is proud to be the deciding vote to pass that bill. And that bill means that 5 of our hospitals are at risk of closure. That doctors here have said that there is a 114-mile stretch that will become, in their words, a medical care desert. That is a 2-hour drive. I hear from folks all the time that these cuts are personal. They have a son who's disabled on Medicaid. They have a neighbor who's pregnant who needs to already drive 90 minutes to the nearest doctor. And now, because of Elise, because she's proud that she put these cuts into place, that means that we are going to see a 114-mile stretch of no care. That's unconscionable. That is downright unconscionable. And what we need to do is not only reverse those Medicaid cuts, but we need to send someone to DC who's going to expand Medicare coverage, to expand mental health and addiction treatment, to make sure that Fort Drum families in my district, veterans across the country, get the care that they've earned and that they deserve. And Elise Stefanik has turned her back on us to pay massive tax breaks out to billionaires and to protect her wealthy donors. And that is what this comes down to, that every single person here deserves to live a life of dignity and have the freedom to thrive. And under Elise Stefanik, that just won't happen.
Well, under Elise Stefanik, there are a number of presidents of universities who stepped down. We all remember the congressional hearing where Dr. Claudine Gay of Harvard, the presidents of the University of Pennsylvania and MIT were all there. That was a big win in the conservative movement for Elise Stefanik, but it was the beginning of what we are all living now. Today, the president of Northwestern University quit amid layoffs forced by Trump cuts. When we come forward, I want to get Dylan Hewitt and the Honorable Malcolm Kenyatta's reaction to that and more. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a world without heart disease and stroke, where every person has the chance to live a full and healthy life. Join us for a walk to save lives at the American Heart Association's Greater Los Angeles Heart and Stroke Walk, Saturday, September 20th at the Rose Bowl. Every step made and every dollar raised means more people learning CPR, more life-saving research, and more time with the ones we love. Sign up at heartwalkla.org. The LA Heart and Stroke Walk is sponsored by Optum, UCLA Health, Keck Medicine of USC, and Dignity Health.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-226-8833. That's 800-226-8833.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah. The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I have been enjoying this hour along with Dylan Hewitt. He's a candidate for Congress. He's running to represent the people, not the special interest, the people of the 21st District in New York. He's running to defeat Representative Elise Stefanik. We're also joined by phone with DNC Vice Chair and Pennsylvania State Representative, the Honorable Malcolm Kenyatta, and might I add, one of the very first guests when we launched this show years ago. Just saying.
That's right.
So listen. Today, the president of Northwestern University said that he was stepping down amid a very turbulent period marked by clashes with Republican lawmakers, steep federal funding cuts under the Trump administration, and forced widespread layoffs. We've heard this story before, and it feels like there's no end in sight. Dylan, what's your reaction to this latest university president that bites the dust?
Yeah. Well, I think Elise Stefanik has picked fights with folks that land her in headlines, that she goes on TV to rail against college presidents instead of showing up in our district to hold a town hall. She hasn't been here to hold a town hall in 6 years. She'd learn if she came that folks here are more concerned about the high cost of living, more concerned about our hospitals closing, more concerned about kids going hungry because of SNAP cuts. But she's out there attacking college presidents, attacking higher education, when we should be investing in students right here at home with fully funded public schools, pathways to success through a community college or a vocational training that sets them up for the jobs of today and the jobs of tomorrow. And instead, she is protecting those who get her massive billionaire tax breaks and her wealthy donors who have put her there for the last 10 years. And I hear from folks all the time that change is possible here. I heard from an Air Force veteran last night after I launched my campaign who sent me an email to say she finally felt like she was hopeful that change is possible in New York 21, that she has 2 boys. One is a senior in high school. One just went back to college. And that there is a moment in our politics, a moment in this country where we can hold the powerful accountable and bring down the cost of living. She's not waking up every day thinking about college presidents or Elise's fairness and accreditation bill. She's thinking about what it means for her child in high school to be able to set him up for success, to go to college or get a career after high school. And she's thinking about her son that's at a university right now of, is he getting a good education and is he going to have a job on the other side of graduation? That's why I'm in this race. I'm in this race because they deserve to have a life of dignity and the opportunity to thrive, to get a job that actually pays the bills, to have healthcare they can always count on, and that every kid here gets that fair shot.
Representative Kenyatta, in our remaining minutes, I want to give you sort of the final word on this. The Guardian reporting that the university's handling of campus protests, referring to Northwestern University, their handling of campus protests over the war in Gaza, it placed their president under fire by conservatives. During a congressional hearing last year, Republicans accused Northwestern of failing to adequately address anti-Semitism, with some Jewish advocacy groups even demanding his resignation. Representative Kenyatta, how come we aren't talking enough about Project Esther? I think sometimes, we hear these accusations in hearing rooms led by Republican members. We see it in conservative media, but we fall short of educating the public on the fact that Project 2025 has a twin called Project Esther. Why aren't we talking enough about that?
So this is one of those moments where it's very clear, as I've said, that when Republicans get an opportunity to be in power, their commitment, their focus is never on what I think our focus should be, which is on making life better for people. Their focus is on consolidating power, on silencing opposition. These are folks who constantly talk about free speech, constantly talk about the cancellation of people. But you look at what they do when they're given power. They do everything they can to crush dissent, everything they can to silence people. And one of the places that they always go first is at our educational institutions. That's a big part of the pattern. And they try to find groups on our campuses who are speaking out in this, instance. And they do everything they can to try to make an example of them. And you saw what happened with Harvard, where a judge ruled that they were using anti-Semitism as a smokescreen to engage in authoritarian retaliation. Now, we all understand that Islamophobia, anti-Semitism are real. Racism, these things are real. And we should all be able to say with a shared voice that we don't want to see this happen. But we have to say it with a shared voice. You can't put people in your administration who are noted and unabashed neo-Nazis. You can't have Trump hanging out and having dinner with folks who say, kill all the Jews, and then tell me that you care about combating anti-Semitism. This is about power. And so if we want to get serious about combating bigotry, anti-Semitism, racism, we have to understand that it's all the fruit of the same poisonous tree. In the way that you uproot it is you uproot it all together. You don't leave any one part of it. We have to uproot it together. That's why in my district, I'll say just very quickly here, in my district, I represent one of the largest synagogues and one of the largest mosques. We represent the Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Their archdiocese is in my district. And we have a slew of Black churches. And what we have done constantly is bring those folks together so that we call these things out together. And that's the way we build communities where everybody can be safe, no matter who they are, not these veiled attempts to just control more and consolidate power while pretending that you give a damn about protecting students. They don't.
Yeah, thank you for that, Representative Kenyatta. Dylan Hewitt, Mr. Candidate, where can people go to learn more about your campaign?
DylanHewitt.com. Go to my website, sign up for updates, chip in if you can. We just started yesterday. We have huge momentum behind us, but we are up against one of the most powerful Republicans in this administration and her big donors and her big dark money. So wherever you are in the country, this fight is for you. Jobs that you can rely on to pay the bills, healthcare you can always count on, and a fair shot at success for all of us. So go to DylanHewitt.com and join us today. Thank you so much.
Our thanks to you. Please come back again. Keep us tapped in as you continue your campaign. I mean, it is David and Goliath, but somebody's got to do it, and you have everything it takes to do it. Our thanks to Dylan Hewitt, a candidate for Congress, candidate to represent the people of the 21st District, and of course, Malcolm Kenyatta, the Honorable Malcolm Kenyatta, Vice Chair of the Democratic Party, also representing the people of the 181st District in Philadelphia. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Thank you, my friends. Thank you, Dylan.
Santa Monica.
Thank you.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Black Surgeon General Joseph Ladapo plan to eliminate all vaccine mandates.
You don't want to put whatever vaccines in your body, God bless you. And I hope you make an informed decision.
Speaking near Tampa, Ladapo called the requirements tyranny, while DeSantis announced a new state MAHA commission to implement